is Paul. Yes. Now, this concept of involuntary servitude, yes, includes a condition of servitude induced by means of any scheme, plan, or pattern intended to cause a person to believe that if the person did not enter into or continue in such condition, that person or the person would suffer serious harm or physical restraint. Now, I talked to you about the coercion of using the signature of the ex officio superior court clerk. Somebody told her, well, you just got to sign this, Christy Miller. Yes. Because the protected person, there's a threat that her husband, right, was going to go off his rocker and he was going to hurt her or her kids. Coercion is the use of the belief, right, that there's going to be harm or some sort of physical restraint. Yeah. Now, we talked a little bit about the behaviors of domestic violence. Let's say you were married to a saint. You know how a lot of wives think that way about their spouses, and you decide to use some coercion to issue one court order, and then you didn't use coercion to issue this one. Oh. Now, this whole concept, because it seems that due to his persistence that he's been wronged in his efforts to have contact with his sons, did not present an imminent risk of danger to himself or others, but his desperation to gain what he feels has been unjustly lost may increase. Yeah. This is the concept of coercion. The scheme, the plan or the pattern, yes, to induce the court to believe, intended to cause the court to believe that if you do not enter this court order of incompetence, if you don't put him in a mental institution, he's going to lose it, that he'll be in danger to himself or others because of my desperation, to gain what I feel I've lost, unjustly lost. Now, it could be that, Carol, you do not understand the actual behaviors of those that commit domestic violence. That's the use of coercion on the part of the state, yes, to justify my arrest, mental health evaluation, designated crisis responder, ouch. And then there's always this thought that we're going to have a scheme, plan, or pattern intended to cause Judge Porter to believe that if you don't put me in jail, I'm going to cause serious harm or some other physical restraint. See, the court's been using coercion in their court cases, prosecuting attorneys. Yes. Let's look at this from the point of Judge Rohr. Yes. I informed Judge Rohr that I did not get any of the actual notices of court hearings. Right. It was never there. Somebody kept using coercion as a reason why you just have to issue the dissolution of marriage because I'm some deranged husband that doesn't understand what I'm doing. Yeah. I'm a threat to my sons as well as my wife. Yeah. No, she didn't give you the marriage certificate from the United Nations, and she didn't give you any actual documentation. In fact, her handwriting was not her own. She decided to use a look-alike or a twin. Yes. As if you didn't need the actual petitioner to appear in court. But it looks like the court's been really influenced by schemes, plans, or patterns intended to cause a person to believe that. Isn't that right, court? Yes. That if you don't issue this right now, Heidi and the kids are going to really suffer. Now, this thought of prosecuting attorneys using coercion, yes. The thought of court commissioners saying, well, we just do not have to have proof of service before issuing court orders, and we can issue it for 10 years. Yes. And as soon as he gets a mental health evaluation and treatment, if recommended, that the court will review upon the motion. See, you're using coercion as a court. Now, there could be some sort of lawsuit in this. Yes, yes. Because every time the court was involved in the scheme, plan, or pattern intended to cause the court to believe, the court entered into such a condition. Now, there is what's known as, just a second here, I'm just reading it. Yes. Debt bondage, okay. Involuntary servitude. Then, oh, it's letter B. The abuse or threatened abuse of the legal process. Now, I mentioned this legal process known as the issuance of court orders. Yes. Where my wife runs into the courts July 8th of 2011, and she had a little scheme, plan, or pattern to cause the court to believe I was a crazed individual right now. I'm telling you, you're going to get some fat lawsuits tonight, okay? Okay. Now, this whole idea of the abuse of the legal process, yes, where I wasn't a resident, yes, she wasn't a resident, and you thought, well, we just better do it because we don't have to do what the laws say. So we had a plan of coercion on the part of Heidi Lee Budnick on July 8th of 2011. Yes, where she had me arrested on Guam. Spent 10 days. And then you decided to issue the temporary protection order. And you decided to issue another protection order. You decided to issue another protection order. Then you issue another protection order while I was on trial for violating the other protection order. The abuse of the legal process because of the scheme, plan, and pattern of the state of Washington to believe right now. Coercion, I'm telling you, every time you had a court hearing, coercion was involved. Now, I know it was difficult for my wife to be married to an individual that wanted to be holy. Yes, yes, yes. A lot of women, they ask their husbands, well, why don't you be a saint? Why don't you do that? But this thought of issuing court orders, yes. On July 31st of 2015, 48 days later, without the signature of the coercion of the actual petitioner. Now, I would say that's the abuse of the legal process. Okay. If you're going to blame the petitioner for coercion as a scheme or plan to kidnap my sons, yeah, to traffic them so that they could be in the wrong grades and they could have a winning football team, I'm going to sue each and every oath, badge, attorney, mandatory reporter, coordinated, the civil rights coordinator, yes, for participating in the coercion of the abuse of the legal process. Now, there's a large number of lawsuits in this. Yes, there is. You say that they have to stay in that school until they're 19 and a half years old. You say I have to motion a court. You